Hello, everyone. It's Linda Hayes again. Today, I'm going to talk about flights to Belize, as a lot of people on Facebook have been talking about the fact that flights look very expensive now. And I'm going to show ways you might be able to avoid that. So, prior to COVID, a lot of people would book their trip at the last minute because it was a way to save money. If a flight was partially empty, the airlines would discount it so that they could fill up the remaining seats. And the same thing happened with vacation packages. Now, however, a lot of flights are completely full. Some have less scheduled connections and some are just busy because a lot more people are traveling. And I'm going to show an example of a flight I booked just a few weeks ago to show what the difference in price is now, and also show you a way that you can look to see all the available flights and plan the appropriate trip for the most affordable rate. So we're going to go into Google Flights to look at that. So the reason I like Google Flights is that I can choose whether I want round trip, how many people, what type of fare, but it'll also give me all the available airlines for whatever conditions I specify. So in this trip, I'm going to show right now today, which is October 14th, what a price would be for Edmonton to Belize City. And the trip I'm going to be taking next is on November 18th and leaves on Friday, November 25th, so a 1-week trip. And you can see here I've put one stop or fewer because I just don't want a milk run. And the WestJet flight, that's the best connection there, is $1,629. Now this is extremely expensive because normally I can get a flight to Belize return for about $600 to $800 Canadian. And so I'm going to show now what I actually paid for this exact same flight when I booked it a few weeks ago. So as you can see here, when I booked the flight a few weeks ago, it was only $677.65. Now there was a sale on at that time, but regardless, this is the price that I would expect to pay for a sale price. And if you actually look at different dates in Google Flights, you can pull up the calendar to see flight prices on all different days, which I'm going to show next. So now let's look at Google Flights again and look at a destination in the US. So in the case of Houston, which is only 2.5 hours away, if I pick the same dates as my trip, you could see that the flights are very expensive. And the 18th, it's the 1523 is what it says there. And you could see that that's not probably a common price. It tells you that by this little statement here saying prices are currently high. But I can go instead and pick the 25th as my leaving date and then change my time home to be December 2nd, and you'll actually see that the price there is only $490. So it tells you it's a little bit cheaper than usual. So this is what I would use to check when you want to travel if you have flexibility. And you can pick any destination in here that you want to see what the cheapest flight is with different airlines. So that is one of the advantages of using Google Flights. Let's now talk about some flight updates coming into Belize. So Southwest Airlines announced an additional day from Denver to Belize, which is going to start March 2023. Flights were only on Saturdays, and now there's an additional Sunday schedule. And then for WestJet and Air Canada, they are resuming their flights this year, where last year there was only WestJet flights from Toronto, for example, and I'm happy that they've added back that Calgary connection. And there are many routes, even through the US, that will start back November and December or get more frequent. And flights have been really full lately. So the flight that I took from Houston just last month was actually completely full. And that's why you can see these discrepancies in pricing. But there are still low fare alerts. So this one came from Southwest when I was on their website. And so just make sure you check your dates so that you can find more affordable options. I thought it might be helpful as well to show a summary of some of the direct flights to Belize. And a lot of the airlines here you'll recognize that I've already talked about, like WestJet and United and American there, but there's some other ones I just wanted to highlight. So for example, Copa Airlines flies from Panama City, and then Tropic Air is actually a Belizean flight company where you can fly from Belize City to Ambergris Caye, for example, and a few other areas of Belize, but they also fly from Cancun, Flores, and Roatan. So if you're planning a trip through some other countries, those might be good options for you. And actually, Tropic Air is how I first got into Belize in December 2020 because Canada Airlines were not flying to Belize during COVID, so I flew WestJet to Cancun and then came in on Tropic Air. So those are some options for you, especially for people that might be working remote like I do, where you can kind of travel different places and check out other parts of the world while you're working. So I hope this video has helped, and I hope to see you soon in Belize.